Hello, and welcome back to the Compassionate Curiosity Podcast, a space where we explore the messy, beautiful, challenging project of being human. I'm your host, Rachel, a women's wellness coach and yoga and mindfulness teacher at Tranquilo Pa Wellness. And my mission is to help women who feel stuck in cycles of stress, whether that's stress tied to their bodies, burnout, or emotional overwhelm, to find peace again and reclaim self trust so they can finally feel like themselves again. And here in this space, we dive into the stories we carry about food, movement, our bodies, stress, and self worth, sharing tools, reflections, and lived experience to help you soften the pressure, reconnect with your body, and create more space in your life to breathe, rest, and just be. All guided by curiosity and grounded in compassion. And I am so glad to have you here with me today. Today, we're diving into something that's talked about a lot, but not always clearly explained. At least that's what I found to be the case for me. And that might just be because this is one of those things where truly grasping the meaning is done through living it, through experiencing it yourself instead of just through words, which words can be helpful, definitely. They can be guideposts. But a lot of times, especially when it comes to topics around emotions, healing, self worth, and self love, the true understanding and relating happens when we live it, when we go through it ourselves, when we embody it, when we experience it through the framework of the physical body and not just through the intellect, through the words. So, all that to say, what we are talking about today is body trust. Maybe you've heard the phrase before, or maybe this is the first time hearing it. Either way, my goal in this episode is to offer you some guideposts and starting points through words to help you explore and maybe begin to build a more meaningful connection with the idea of body trust. So, we are going to talk about what it actually means to trust your body to help demystify this phrase, why it matters to trust your body, how we lose that trust and what can happen when we do, and how we can begin to rebuild it slowly, gently, without pressure, and in a way that honors your story and where you are right now. And I am really excited to talk about this with you today because body trust is something that has become so near and dear to me as I've moved along this recovery journey. And it's something I didn't even know existed, didn't know mattered, didn't know could be so monumental in how I see myself and the world. And so it's truly become this beautiful companion that has been walking alongside of me and has seen it all. And so I am honored and grateful to have the space today here with you to share that with you and to be your companion as you move along your journey. And so, as always, before we dive in, I want to invite you to join me in a few moments of stillness, of gifting yourself just a few minutes of quiet, of checking in with yourself, of reconnecting with your grounded nature, of turning inward when everything else pulls you outward. And so, if you are safe and able to right now, I invite you to make yourself comfortable and gently close your eyes. Even if you can't close your eyes right now, you can still go inward. Closing your eyes just tends to make that process a little easier, which is why that can be helpful. But it's not required. So it's okay to meet yourself where you are right now. And so let's start by tuning in to the breath. Taking a deep breath in through the nose and releasing a long breath out through the nose. And taking a few more deep breaths like this at your own pace. Just noticing how the in-breath and the out-breath feel. Sometimes that following of the breath can be hard to do. And so a helpful question to guide you is asking yourself, how do I know I'm breathing right now? Usually that guides you to answers like, well, I feel my chest expanding. I feel the coolness of air against my nostrils as I breathe in. That is how we can use the intellect to drop into the body. And so just notice anything you sense or feel breathing in and out. And then just let your breath fall into its natural rhythm, however it is right now, deep or shallow. Just noticing, not trying to change it. There's nothing to fix here. And if you notice your mind has wandered and you've forgotten totally about the breath, no worries. Just notice that. And notice any reaction you have to that without judgment. And then just gently shift back to your breath. And let's take one more deep breath in through the nose. And let out a long breath out through the nose. And when you're ready, gently opening your eyes and coming back to this space. Thank you so much. Okay. So we are going to start off by talking about what body trust even is. Like, what does this mean to trust your body? I know for me, those two words together literally felt like a foreign language. Like I was hearing them or reading them, but not registering what the hell the two of them together meant. So if that's also you, you are definitely not the only one. And there is absolutely no shame or judgment in that. Everything we absorb from the external world often points us in the exact opposite of body trust. And so it makes total sense why this may seem so foreign. So hopefully what we go through today will help build more clarity around this for you. So despite body trust being a buzzword and seemingly ambiguous or fluffy, body trust is actually something deeply human and profoundly intuitive, something we're all born with and often taught to forget. So let's slow it down and really define it here. Body trust is the internal sense of safety, connection, and confidence that allows you to listen to, believe, and respond to your body's signals without judgment, shame, or fear. Okay, so let's break that down a bit. Let's look at the first part, the internal sense of safety, connection, and confidence. Safety means your body feels like a place you can inhabit without constant fear or monitoring. It's the sense that you can be in your body without needing to fight, fix, or control it. It's the opposite of being in survival mode all the time. Connection is about awareness, being able to feel what's going on in your body. That might be physical sensations like how hunger shows up in your body, fatigue, tension, or more subtle things like emotions rising or a gut instinct. Confidence then is what allows you to trust those signals. It's the inner belief that your body has wisdom and that you don't have to second guess every cue. You don't have to Google it, track it, or wait for someone else's permission. You can trust yourself to respond in ways that support you and your well-being. So then we get into the next part. Okay, so the internal sense of safety, connection, and confidence that allows you to listen to, believe, and respond to your body's signals. Listening is about tuning in. Are you even noticing when you're hungry? when you're tense or anxious, when you need rest or comfort. Most of us are so used to overriding or ignoring those signals that listening becomes a practice that we have to relearn. Believing means you stop doubting your body. Instead of thinking, I can't be hungry, I just ate, or I shouldn't feel this tired, I didn't do anything today. You start trusting that your body isn't making things up. It's speaking to you for a reason. And responding is the act of honoring what you hear. So that might be feeding yourself, lying down, moving your body, crying, setting a boundary. Whatever that need is, you meet it with kindness and curiosity instead of criticism. And finally, all of that without judgment, shame, or fear. This is the part that's hardest for many of us because we live in a world that's taught us to mistrust, micromanage, and manipulate our bodies. So even when we do notice a cue, we often meet it with judgment, like, I shouldn't be hungry. I don't deserve rest. Why am I craving this? What's wrong with me? But body trust invites a different response. It asks us to soften, to de-pathologize our body's natural signals, to get curious instead of critical. Body trust is about creating a relationship with your body that prioritizes listening instead of overriding, that nurtures connection rather than compliance, that's built on compassion, not on micromanagement. And what's empowering here is that body trust isn't something you have to build from scratch. Because remember, we are all born with this. As kids, we knew when to eat, when to stop eating, when to lie down, when to wake up. We cried when we were tired or overwhelmed. We reached out when we wanted connection. We ran when we had energy and collapsed in the grass when we didn't. We danced without asking if it counted. We rested without guilt. We followed our instincts without questioning whether they were right or wrong. That was body trust in action. And for many of us, that trust came naturally before outside messages told us otherwise. And I want to gently acknowledge that for some, especially for those who experienced early trauma or disconnection, this may not have been the case. But even then, the beauty here is that because body trust is something we all innately have access to, that means it's something we can always come back to. We can remember, we can rebuild, we can relearn at any point in life. That natural body wisdom, that intuitive connection is something you begin life with, something that was once yours and still is. It may have been buried, silenced, or forgotten over time, but it hasn't disappeared. And that's important because it means that body trust isn't some far off abstract concept you have to earn or prove yourself worthy of. It's a truth your body still holds. It's a knowing you can reconnect with, no matter how long it's been or how far off track you've gone. That doesn't matter because this is something that already lives within you and always has. And when that trust begins to resurface, it might look or feel like this. It's knowing that when your stomach growls, it's okay to eat. It's recognizing that when you're exhausted, rest is not weakness or something to feel guilty for. It's feeling safe in your own skin and believing your body is not out to sabotage you. It's moving your body because it feels good, not because you feel like you have to. It's letting yourself enjoy food without guilt or justification. It's honoring a no in your body, even when your mind is pressuring a yes. And underneath all of that, all those distinct moments of listening, honoring, and responding, what body trust really comes down to is a relationship. And just like trust in any relationship, it can be broken or damaged. But also, like in any relationship, it can be repaired with compassion, time, patience, consistency. I also want to take a minute here to touch on what body trust is not, because body trust can feel a little unclear or abstract, and that's also why it can be easy to misinterpret or misunderstand. Some people hear trust your body and assume it means giving up on yourself or letting yourself go or not being responsible or losing control. But that's not what this is about. In fact, it's the opposite of self-neglect, disconnection, and avoidance. Body trust is about attunement, not avoidance. It's about honoring your needs, not disregarding them. It's learning how to live with your body, not against it. And it actually invites more thoughtful care, not less, because it's coming from a place of connection instead of control. So hopefully that helps bring the idea of body trust down to earth a bit, makes it feel a little bit more tangible, more within reach. And something really important to remember here is that you don't have to fully trust your body in order to begin this work. You can start right from where you are with what you have. You just need a willingness to explore, to be curious, to ask, what if my body isn't the enemy? That is where all of this starts. And when you do begin to rebuild that trust, so many things start to shift. When you trust your body, you're no longer outsourcing your decisions to a diet, an app, or someone else's rules. You're tuning back in to your signals, your needs, your experience, your wisdom. And that, in a world constantly telling us we can't be trusted, that tells us to second guess ourselves all the time, is a radical and powerful and beautiful thing. So now let's shift gears here to look at how and why it is that body mistrust develops. If body trust is something we're born with, how do we get so disconnected from it? Well, life, culture, expectations, shame. We learn, sometimes subtly, sometimes painfully, that our body's cues can't be trusted. Let's take a look at what that can actually sound or feel like. Maybe you were told to clean your plate, even when you were full. So you learned not to trust your fullness cues. Maybe you were praised for pushing through exhaustion. So you started to associate rest with weakness. Maybe you were only shown love or acceptance when your body looked a certain way. So you learned that appearance, not internal experience, is what determines your value. Maybe you were told your feelings were too much or needed to be quieted. So you began to second guess your emotional world. Maybe you learned to fear hunger, or that resisting it made you stronger or disciplined. Maybe you had to override discomfort just to fit in, get approval, or feel safe. All of these are messages that slowly wear down your trust in your body's wisdom. They gradually erode the belief that your body knows. And these messages don't always come from one person or one moment. They come from a culture that prioritizes and glorifies control, perfectionism, and productivity over things like connection, care, and rest, right? Diet culture teaches us to fear hunger and chase thinness. Hustle culture teaches us to override our body's limits. Emotional invalidation teaches us that our feelings are inconvenient or dangerous. Hearing things like, calm down, don't cry, or you're too sensitive sends the message that our emotions are a problem. So we learn to suppress them. And fat phobia, ableism, and oppression teach us that some bodies are more worthy of trust and care than others. And the end result of all of that is we stop listening and eventually we stop trusting. And this isn't just about food, movement, or rest. When you can't trust your own body, it becomes harder to trust yourself. What do I mean by that? Your body is how you experience the world. It's how you feel your boundaries, your yes and your no. It's how you sense when something's wrong, when you're not okay, when you need comfort, or when you're aligned with something true. So if you've learned to override your body, to question its cues, to doubt its wisdom, to silence its needs, then of course you start to second guess your decisions, your needs, your worth. You might ask for advice instead of listening inward. You might feel anxious making choices without external validation. You might not know what you need or feel ashamed for needing anything. That is why body trust matters so much. Because rebuilding trust with your body doesn't just help you eat, move, and rest with more ease. It helps you live with more confidence, clarity, self-respect, self-love. And imagine what that can open up for you. Think about it. I mean, pause here and really imagine this. What would it be like to live with a deeper sense of confidence, clarity, and compassion for yourself? What would it be like to move through your day feeling grounded in your body instead of battling it? What choices might you make differently if you truly believed your body wasn't broken, but wise? How might your relationship with food, with movement, with rest, with yourself shift? When body trust grows, so does your capacity to feel more ease, more joy, more peace, more freedom in your life. Not because things are perfect, but because you become more connected. When you feel safe in your body, you're more likely to feel safe in your choices. When you trust your hunger, your fatigue, your gut instincts, you begin to trust yourself. You stop fighting your body and start partnering with it. And so ultimately, body trust creates possibility. It opens the door to a relationship with your body and yourself and your life that feels more free, more aligned, and more deeply your own. So if all of this is resonating with you and you're wondering, okay, how do I actually begin to rebuild trust with my body? That is an excellent question, and one that tends to be ever present along our paths, because rebuilding body trust isn't a one-time deal, nor is it something that we start from zero each time. It's something we revisit, we deepen, we return to as we grow. And it doesn't start with a giant leap. It starts with small, intentional shifts, with moments of self-awareness, with acts of self-compassion. And so we're going to go over 4 simple, accessible tools to help you begin reconnecting with your body. Not all at once, but gently, slowly, and in ways that feel doable and grounding. And so our first tool here is body check-ins. Throughout the day, pause and ask yourself, what's happening in my body right now? Good times to do this are right when you wake up, before meals or after meals, in the middle of your workday, or anytime you notice yourself checking out, getting overwhelmed, or feeling disconnected. And sometimes it's just easier to put an alarm in your phone to, pick whatever time of day you want and name it body check-in. And when it goes off, Give yourself a minute to check in. Even just placing a hand on your heart or belly and taking one conscious breath can help you drop in. And so checking in to see what's happening in my body right now. Is there hunger, thirst, tension, restlessness, numbness? Am I holding my breath, clenching my jaw, feeling heavy or light? These check-ins build awareness of the physical state or sensations of the body. And this is how you begin to rebuild and reestablish connection, not by changing anything right away or fixing what it is that you notice, but just by noticing and doing so without pressure or judgment. You're just tuning in with curiosity, like you would if you were checking in on a friend. And you'll likely find that the more often you check in, the more natural it becomes to listen. So tool number 2 is getting curious with your cues. This builds on tool number 1 because once you've checked in and noticed what's present in your body, the next step is to meet that with curiosity instead of criticism. So instead of launching into self-judgment of like, why am I feeling like this? Why am I like this? I shouldn't be feeling this way. Try asking, what might this be trying to tell me? What is this part of me needing right now? What might be behind this feeling? What does this emotion or sensation want me to know? This reframe opens the door to insight without shame. And by doing this, you're not ignoring the experience, you're exploring it. Curiosity is what builds trust, while criticism is what shuts the conversation down. So let your questions be kind, open, and unhurried. And also, it is okay if you don't know the answer to those questions of what this might be trying to tell you or what this part of you is needing right now. That's actually really common to not know, especially when we've been disconnected from our bodies for so long. This is a process of relearning your body's cues and rebuilding the ability to interpret that language. So it might take time. That is totally normal and okay and part of the work, a huge part of the work. Just the act of asking is a major step toward reconnection. Even if the answer isn't clear yet, what you're doing is laying the groundwork for trust to grow. What matters is that you're listening and exploring and staying curious, which keeps the connection open. The third tool here is respond to hunger and rest. So once you start learning and hearing your body's cues again, this is where you start responding to them. It seems incredibly straightforward, but it's one of the hardest parts for so many of us, especially if you've spent years overriding those signals. But this is where the shifting happens. The moment you hear a need and choose to honor it, even in a small way, trust starts to rebuild. So when you now recognize your body's hunger cues, eat. When you feel your body's tired cues, rest. When you sense that you're overstimulated or overwhelmed, pause and give yourself space. Not because you earned any of these, not because you deserve any of these, but because your body asked and you answered. And it's in these consistent responses that your body begins to feel safe with you again. Even if discomfort or guilt shows up, just remind yourself, this is how I begin to show my body it can rely on me again. And over time, responding to your needs with consistency helps your body feel heard, respected, and supported. But at the same time, not judging yourself or criticizing yourself if you do override a cue or ignore or miss a signal. Because again, this is going to take time. So not criticizing yourself for falling back into old patterns is also part of the process. The work is in coming back with kindness again and again. Because just like with any relationship, trust grows through consistency, not through never making mistakes. So be gentle with yourself and give yourself some grace. The last tool here is connecting with your inner child. The topic of inner child is something that I plan to do an entirely separate episode on, where we'll have the space to explore more deeply. But for now, here's what I want you to know. We all carry within us younger versions of ourselves, versions that still hold memories, emotions, and unmet needs from earlier in life. Your inner child is the part of you that once moved, ate, rested, cried, and played instinctively before shame or fear told her otherwise. And the thing is, she is still there, waiting to be seen, waiting to be cared for in a new way. And so, one way to begin working with this part of yourself is through this 3-question process that you can return to anytime. So, the first question is, what messages did she receive? Take a moment to imagine the younger version of you, the one who ran when she wanted to move, rested when she was tired, ate when she was hungry. What messages did she receive about her body? About food, rest, emotions, her worth? Was she praised for ignoring her body? Was she told she was too much? Was she made to feel her needs were inconvenient? The second question is, what did she need instead? So asking yourself, what did she really need in those moments? What would have helped her feel safe, seen, and cared for in her body and her being? Was it reassurance, permission to rest, emotional safety, freedom to be fully herself? And the last question is, what can I offer her today? This is where so much beautiful growth can happen. Asking, what can I offer her today from my adult self? Is it a kind word? Is it a hug? A snack she once loved? A gentle boundary? The reminder that her body isn't wrong? This tool isn't about pretending or forcing anything. It's about reparenting that part of you with the tenderness she didn't always receive, the part of you who never stopped needing that tenderness. Even taking 30 seconds to close your eyes, picture her, and place your hand on your heart and say something like, I see you, I'm here, can begin to shift how you relate to yourself. Let your connection with her guide how you show up for yourself now, with softness, protection, care. And over time, that relationship becomes a powerful source of healing, trust, and self-compassion. And just a quick reminder here, while connecting with your inner child can be deeply healing, it can also stir up old memories or emotions. And so this practice is not a replacement for therapy. If you notice that deeper pain or trauma is coming up, know that it's okay and often helpful to seek support from a therapist or mental health professional. You by no means have to do this work alone. And so as we wrap up here, lovely, body trust is not a destination. It's a relationship, one you get to come home to again and again. There will be days you feel connected, and there will be days that you do not. That is okay. That's part of the process. Because rebuilding trust is never about getting it all right. There isn't even a right here. It's about presence. It's about awareness. It's about showing up again and again exactly as you are. So you are not alone in this. There is nothing wrong with you because you feel a disconnection from your body. That disconnection doesn't mean you're broken. It's not a flaw. It doesn't erase your wisdom. It just means there's something to come back to, and you can come back. It just means you've learned to protect yourself. And now you get to learn how to reconnect with your body, your needs, your truth. So maybe today you just ask yourself, what is one small way I can honor my body right now? And let that be enough, because it is. Because those small moments of awareness and listening and honoring, they become patterns. And those patterns become trust and love and the freedom to live in your body fully, peacefully, and on your own terms. So, if this episode spoke to you, I'd love to hear from you. How are you currently experiencing body trust? Have you noticed moments where it feels hard, or maybe moments when it's beginning to grow? You can connect with me through the info in the show notes, or come join us in the Compassionate Curiosity community, which is a free space for us women to stay connected, supported, and curious together. It's a place to receive weekly reflections, gentle guidance, and empowering resources to help you deepen your relationship with your body and yourself with curiosity and compassion, as always. And if you're looking for more support in your own body trust journey, you can learn more about my coaching programs through the resources in the show notes below as well. And as always, if you're finding this show to be helpful to you, I'd be so grateful if you followed the show or left a quick review or rating. That really helps others find this healing space and these healing messages. So thank you so much, as always, for being here. And until next time, my dear, may you know that you are not alone. I am here with you. May you be guided by curiosity and grounded in compassion. Sending you love, light, and gratitude today and always.